So I'm recording this session now. I'll switch off my camera, which is not required, and I'll go to screen share. I'm sharing my desktop. All right, welcome everybody. Once again, when you log on to Microsoft Teams, what exactly you will see? You will actually see all the classrooms which you have created. So if you see here the classrooms which I have created, I have my classrooms out here. So my classrooms basically, if you see my classrooms which I've created out here, and I have a lot of classrooms which I've created. So I'm going to take you through. The first thing is the different types of classrooms. So when you actually create, when you actually start Microsoft Teams, the first thing which you'll see on the right-hand side corner is join or create team. Join team is basically for people who have been invited to join a classroom, and create team is basically for the owners. Now when I click on create team, the first scene which you see is basically it says that you can create a team or you can join a team. Now there is another feature which I see here is basically something called as a public space. So in a university and an organization, they also create some sort of a public space, which is basically for universal announcements. So university has bought these licenses, and I think there are three types of Microsoft licenses, which is E2 license, Enterprise 2, and there is Enterprise 3 license and Enterprise 5 license. I will not get into the detailing of these licenses, but based on the type of licenses, the university administration can assign these features to the respective users. I'll go back to create team. Now when I click on create team, what you see in team is basically there are 4 different types of teams which you can create, and I will take you through the features of all these 4 different types. Well, generally, particularly for different types of industries, different team features are basically helpful. From an education sector perspective, I would prefer to have a class. Basically, this is where I'm going to create different types of, this is where I want to assign the class to the students. So when you create a class type, when you create a team type as class, the 4 important features out here is that students cannot leave the class. That is the first important feature out here. When you create a team type as class, students cannot leave the class. Second, you have the OneNote feature of Microsoft. I'm going to take you through the OneNote feature, where actually you can post your assignments, you can post your case studies, you can post documents for discussions. Plus, more important is you can post specific documents for each and every student. So let's say that you have posted a case study for the first 10 students, then only those 10 students will be working on the case study. So I'll explain you about this OneNote. So in the team type of class, you can create assignments, different types of assignments. You can create quiz, you can create subjective type of assignments, and also do grading. And fourth is that you can mute all the students at one shot, so that they don't actually keep on disturbing you. The second team type out here is basically the team type is called as PLC. Now PLC is a team type which can be used for professional groups, which can be used for education groups, research groups, where they want to collaborate a lot. So in PLC, you will have the OneNote facility, but then you don't need assignments and all the stuff. That is what PLC is all about. So class also has OneNote, PLC also has OneNote. Now, the third type is basically the staff. So when I click on staff type of team, staff is basically used where you have it's an administrative type of a function. So HOD can use the staff particular function where he wants to interact with all the staffs. where staff also has a OneNote feature, but not as elaborate as class. The OneNote feature of staff and professional learning community offers you to collaborate the document sharing, collaborate to edit the documents across. Now, other is basically a study group or just a group of people where they all log into this. You can share files, you can chat on this, you can do video call meetings, but there is no OneNote, or there is no any other feature out here. So if you see this particular training program classroom which I've created, I have used the other function. So the other function is what I have used to create this particular group. So in this group which I've created, I have only chats option, conducting meetings, and maybe sharing files, which will be video files or Microsoft Team document, which I will share in this group. So that's how you first create a class. Now let's create a class for this particular demo purpose. So I'll give a name as demo class, which is June 2020. Descriptions are optional. So from a faculty perspective, I don't need to give a description out here. I click on next. Now it's creating a team. You can use this theme both on Mac as well as on Microsoft on Windows. I have used this team software in Mac, and today I'm using it on Windows. I could see a basic difference when you use on a Mac or on a Windows. For everyone's benefit, let me tell you that this software is just a 4-year-old software. So there are some, in fact, I am right now speaking with the core team of Microsoft programmers, where I have got myself enrolled there. So I am actually suggesting few improvements and also suggesting few bugs which I have seen, particularly when I create this other type of group. I saw some of the basic bug features, not bugs, because some features are not working. So that's to keep you informed. Now, when I create this demo class 20, I can search for students. Now, the students basically have to be from the same community. They have to be from the university. So naturally, I can't create any user with a Gmail account. Of course, when I create a user with a Gmail account, it converts the user into a guest user. So a guest user will not get a guest user will get access to meetings, can get access to the chats, but will not get access to the assignment sections. So it's important and mandatory for students to have the university email ID. Having said that, let's say if I want to create let's say if this is a student, students have an email ID of nmims.edu.in. Now that domain, I'm speaking with the IT people. I'll also speak with them so that that domain can also be included into this. I don't know whether it's been included or not. I'll have to recheck that once again, which means that students can be enrolled straight away from here. That is one part. But if you have 60 to 100 students, naturally you will not be adding students one by one out here. There's a second feature of sending the invite link to the students or sending the code, which I'll be showing it to you. So here I can create my student. So let's say I create a student out here, which is Cisco MPSTME 21, and I create another student, Cisco MPSTME 17. I just click on add for a demo purpose. Now these two gets added, and then click on close. So the team is basically the class. So if you see that when I created a team type as class, I'm having posts, I'm having files, I'm having notebooks, and also I'm having assignments, grades, and there's a plus symbol. This plus symbol is nothing but where you can add more tabs. So I'll actually show you what are these new tabs which you can add in addition to the tabs which is already available. So this is the first thing. So in a class type, which is class, I have post, I have files, class notebook, assignments, and grade. In PLC, I'll have post files in class notebooks, but I will not have assignments and grades. In staff, I'll have post files in class notebooks, but notebooks with a limited feature. But in others, I'll have only post and files. So how to recognize which type which is the class type. If you see here, this is the place where I can see the type of the class which I have created. So this is the type of the class which says that at team. So at team, at organization are the two different ways why the class type is recognized. Now let me go back to my demo. So here I have my post files class notebooks. On the left hand side, now if you see here, you have activities, you have chat, teams, assignments, calendars, and on the right hand side you have the entire dashboard out here. What I call this as basically that this particular left hand side, what I have out here, I call this as the me section. So this is basically for me, I call this as my me section, which is, it is got to do with all my activities which I do in team. So whether it is I'm going to do activities, I want to see all the activities which I've been doing so far. If I want to chat with all the people, if I want to chat with individual person, I can do it out here. These are my teams tabs out here. I can also look at the assignments by different class. I can look at my calendar, which of course the way you look at it, Outlook calendar. You can also do some calls from here, which I have not seen and use this much. All your files which you want to upload in your class is applicable, can be viewed from here. Plus there are these three dots. Now these three dots are basically where you can add more tabs to your me section. So if you want to add more tabs, more apps to it, you can actually use this three dots out here. Now if you see, this is an this area is basically, I call this this area as the V area for me. So what I mean by V area is that all the things which I'm doing in a classroom, I'm chatting with people, I'm having my video calls, I'm having my meetings, all those things basically come in the V area. So A is that on the left hand side you have the me area, and on the right hand side you have the V area. So now let me go back to my V area, particularly the classroom which I've created, the demo class. You have this three dot ellipse out here. So what you can do from here is, okay, now let me say that if as a user, if you want to delete a team, you can delete from here, you can edit the names, you can leave the team, you can add members. I'll explain what add channel is. So now when I go back to my demo class team, now on the left hand side, there is this three ellipse out here. When I click on this three ellipse, it helps me to configure my classroom. I can manage my teams from here. I'll explain what channels are. I can add my members. So you can get a link to this team. Now, when I say get a link to this team is where it opens up this get link to the team. If you have 60 students or more, so naturally you would not like to invite one by one, sit with their email IDs. So it's quite cumbersome. And even an administrator would not like to do that, of course, keep adding one by one students. So the better way to do is that one better way to do is send this link, copy this link, go to your Outlook email, send it to the CR and ask him to distribute it to all the class team members, or send it to the coordinator who has the group of section A, section B, section C, and they can then circulate this to the people, to the students. Now, second way of sending invite is when I click on manage team, I have something called as settings out here. In settings, you see that there is something called as team code. So when I click on team code in settings, so you have to go to settings, remember that, and in settings you have something called as team code. Now this team code which I see out here is exactly like the Google Classroom, where you can send the code to the students via an email. And when students, they log into Microsoft Team, on the right hand side they will have something called as join team. So when they click on join team, it will ask for the code. So when they enter the code, it automatically takes them to the class. Now you will ask me, Raman, what is the difference between sending a link and sending a code? The difference between sending a link and sending a code is that when you send a link, people will click on the link and come to the class, but they will not be registered, which means that it will be basically on pending request tabs. So all the members will be on the pending request tabs. But if you manually type the email address, as I did for Cisco, MPSTME 21 and 17, it has automatically created them as members. But if you send them the code, they automatically get logged in to the classroom. So that's the key difference between sending a link of the class. So if you send a link, people will come into the class, but then it will ask for pending request. So which means that for all the 60 students, you have to keep on going and saying request accepted, request accepted. But the best form is to send the code. If you see here, as I said, mute all students. Of course, when you set up the classroom, you have all the students out here. At one shot before starting the session, you can just say mute all students and then start your sessions. Let me go to the settings tab once again from here. In the settings tabs, of course, you have the theme, which means that you can change the theme name. You can put on your own photographs or something like that. Now there is permissions, member permissions. As a best practice, I actually uncheck all these permissions. I don't want the students to create channels. I don't want them to chat within these teams because they have a lot many other best features like WhatsApp and all those things, which normally they do, whether they do outside the class or sitting in the class, they're too engaged with those type of softwares. So here I would like to uncheck everything. I'll just keep these things off, saying that owners can delete all the messages, which I can do that. Give member the option to delete message. Well, I don't want to do that. I just leave it because some people drop some stupid messages so that I know who the hell has dropped that message. So I don't want to give them any great feature of the software. So strictly work the way you do that in the classroom. Now, guest permission. Now, what is this guest permission coming back once again out here? As a faculty, though I have 60 students in my classroom of marketing class, if you all know that we are in a practice of inviting external speakers for a particular class or particular subject. Let's say I'm taking today's my subject is on international marketing, and I want to invite an industry guy to come and speak on international marketing. So here's where I will add my guest speaker into my classroom. So when I say add member, so when I go and add a member, naturally I want to add the guest speaker out here, and I'll add his name, let's say RB211911. He is going to be my guest. Naturally, since he's not in the university domain, so when I click on this and add, it will add him as a guest. Now, the second thing is what and all the guests can do. As I said, the guests can attend meetings, the guests can attend your video conference, the guests can also share his presentations. Now, the interesting part out here is that all the features which you want, all the access which you want to give to the guest is not in your purview. The guest access is normally controlled at the admin level. So when the software is being sold to the university, so the IT department has the administration right. It's quite funny, but then they have the bigger administration right. Because why I say funny is that the guest features are basically the features which, as an owner, I would like to have those privilege, but then this is at the main level, as a hierarchy. I don't know why it is. So which means that I'll have to check that who has the administration rights, and that admin guy can actually check the boxes under the guest permissions. So that is one thing which I would like to speak with the IT and then see how we can take that forward. That is. So this guest feature, I found it useful, particularly in my classroom, and I want to invite an external person to speak on a particular subject, and I can use this particular feature, and this helps me a lot. So that is what the guest feature is. Going back to my settings once again. Add mention, very interesting part. Now, if you have 60 members into your classroom, now add mention is basically one of the feature out here. Particularly when you want to post a message. When you post a message in a classroom, the message is seen across all the 60 students. But then you want to message it only to the CR, only to the class representative. How do you do that? I'll explain that to you. That is where the add mention features, which is very helpful and useful out here. Not very much relevant, emojis, memes, and all the stuff. I'll just leave it out here. OneNote, of course, when we go to the OneNote class, I'll explain what it is. Now, tags are quite interesting out here. You can create tags basically. Let's say that you have in a classroom of 60, you have created 7 students who are going to basically control all the materials you send. They are the group heads within the 60 class members. So you can actually tag them. You can tag them as class leader. You can tag them as class CR, class representative, and so on and so forth. So which means that when you have tagged as a class representative, then when you just say CR, then the message or the files goes directly to the particular CR. So that's where the settings part is. Now we've finished with members, we've finished with guests. We also seen get link to the team and also the code, the 4 main features. Add channel. Now what is a channel? From a corporate perspective, channels can be departments like marketing, finance, sales, service, and you have different members for different channels. So you can create that in a corporate. We call these as channels. You can also create a specific channel. Let's say in a corporate there is something called as annual budgeting team. So they have an annual budgeting team, people from finance, from marketing, from operations. So you can create a mix of people and then call that as annual budgeting team. Now let's look at channel from faculty perspective. Now as a faculty, what am I going to do with this channel? How is this channel is going to be useful for me? Now there are various ways of using classroom, ladies and gentlemen. Now if I am, let's say for example, I'm taking marketing management class, and I'm taking this class for division A, division B, division C. I can create a class called as marketing management, and I can enroll all the 3 division students, 60 plus 60 plus 60, which is 180 people, all into this class, and create division A as a channel and assign all the division A students to division A, division B, and division C. That is one practice how you can create channels. Or else you can create a marketing management class for division A. You can create a marketing management class for division B and marketing management class for division C. The best practices I will also recommend as you start using this, but then if you've really got used to the system, you will be comfortable in using both the types the way I said. Now in this case, let's say I create something called a core group team. Now when I say core group team, now what happens in a channel is you can define the channel as 2 types. Whatever activities you do in this channel, which means sending them the files, sending them PPTs, everybody in the team can access those files which you have sent it in a channel. Or you can actually create this as a private channel, which means that it is only accessible to those people who are within this channel group. So let's say if I've created a classroom called as marketing management, and I've created a channel called as division A, and I've added all the 60 students in division A for the channel division A, and I click on private, which means that all the documents which I share in this channel of division A, only those people in the division A, division 60 students will access this particular document. So that's what channel is all about. From a faculty perspective, so channels can be used like that. Our channel also has its 3 ellipses, which means that we can create channel notifications. So all the posts which you're putting on the channel can come to you. You can see those notifications. You can manage your channels. If you don't want, you can hide your channels. You can edit channels and so on and so forth. So that is quite simple from a channel perspective. Let me go back to my general team. Now, more important for us to understand out here is whenever you create a team like demo class, general is by default created. So if you say that I don't want general, I want to create my own, no. General as a channel is by default created. And after that, if you want to create additional channels, you can do that. So there's a point which we have to remember. So that's what I call this as interesting thing. Now, as I said, in channels, the first section is post. So when I say I want to say that I want to post saying that welcome students, the first post, there I go. So welcome students. Now on my left hand side, I have the students out here. So I have created You see my members. In my members team, I have 3 members. I have Cisco MPSTME 21 a student and also 17. Now let me go to my members tab. Let me go to a login as a student. Now here I log in as a student. So when I log in here as a student, the student is Cisco MPSTME. So he goes to his team. So this is a student view. So what I'm viewing here is basically the student's view. So in the student's view, if you see here that what you're seeing here is, I repeat once again, is the student's view. It is the student view. Whereas here what I showed you is basically the teacher's view. Now here if you see that as when I created demo class and added a student, the student has automatically got the class. So he has already been assigned this class. Since I have added this student, he's already been assigned to this class. Now if you see here as a teacher, I said welcome student the post. The student is able to see this post. The student can reply to this post, which means that he's replying to this communication of welcome student. Or the student can actually add a new conversation altogether, which is basically saying welcome to all. So this is what the student has posted. So quite interesting. So you're seeing the student's view out here. So the student is able to see the post and reply to the post. Student can see all the files which have submitted. And I'll go through this class notebooks and assignments. Now let's get back to the teacher's view. So I'm back to the teacher's view out here. If you see this particular area, this is where I can see that my logo has changed. So I'm in the teacher's view. Now I said in my settings there's something called as @mention. Now what is this @mention? This @mention is nothing but if I want to specifically send a message to Cisco MPSTME 21, so I can actually use this feature and say Cisco MPST 21, which means that this message which I'm going to post will go only to Cisco MPST 21. I say that good to hear that you have been elected as CR. So now this feature, ladies and gentlemen, is only used when you want to create a particular message to that specific person. So if you go here, if you see here, Cisco MPST 21, he gets the message which is exclusively mentioned for him. So that is the feature which I like out here. Now second is what is that types of conversation you can post. Now if I click on start conversation, if you see there are a lot of tabs out here, there is a small icon, formatting icon. So when I click on format icon, I can actually create a new conversation. So let's say I create a new conversation, which is just like conversing on a particular subject. So where people will be replying to that particular subject, or maybe you can just create an announcement. Now in announcements, of course, it's a very nice way. As I created an announcement that welcome to this session, I can go and change the look and feel of my announcement. I can upload images, or I can choose from this illustration and paste this. I can add a subheading to this, and I had multiple what and all I want to announce can be announced out here. Very nice way. So you can, let's say when you want to announce your M1, M2, M3 test, or when you want to announce presentations, whatever it is, just use this particular feature. So quite a great feature. So it is very differently seen in the post tabs and pretty interesting. So that is the first thing in the post sessions. You can actually attach a file in the post. So which means that if I want to attach a file, I can attach a file out here. I can select the file from my OneDrive. So OneDrive is with this university license of Microsoft 365.com. We all have a free OneDrive up to 1 TB. So 1 terabyte of OneDrive is available in your nmims.edu account. So you can keep all your files on OneDrive, and you can upload it from there, or you can upload it from your computer. So if you upload any file from your computer, of course, it goes to that local drive from where you want to pick up your file. So let's say I want to pick up my file of my MS Teams and I want to post this quick start guide to Teams. And I post this out here. So I've posted this file for my students. Now this quick start guide has been posted out here, and these files can be visible on the files section also. Now, when I go to my file section, the interesting thing which you can see out here is you can upload files in the file section. So let's say I want to upload a file which is an Excel file out here, and click on open. Now there are two specific things which I've noticed out here, which will be very helpful for you to remember this. There's something called as class materials, and there are some materials which are posted below this class materials. Just observe this very closely. The materials which are posted here basically can be used for collaborative purpose. So which means that this material which are posted below the class material folder is available for conversation. So which means that I can open up an Excel file or I can open up a PPT file and I can start conversing with my students. The students can comment on the first slide, whatever they want. I can comment on the slides. So this is a very beautiful feature of conversing. And also student can edit the document. So if you want student to go and edit this document, the students can also edit this document. Having said that, this will not change the main document which I have picked up from your computer. All the edits, changes you do to this document, that stays within the team. It does not go outside. It does not go to the main document which you have saved, which you have picked up. Please note that very clearly. Second point, if you post any document in the class material folder, now this class material folder is a hard-coded folder, which means that all the PPTs, Excel file, Word document which you keep in the class material folder is actually saved, and it is not in an editable format. Ladies and gentlemen, the two different features which is not very well documented in any of the Microsoft Teams, but it really took me a lot of effort. But somehow I realized and figured this out. All the documents posted within the class material folder cannot be edited, whereas the documents posted outside the class materials can be edited by the members of your team. So that is a very basic difference. Now, second important feature which I saw out here, which is not there in Google Classroom. I have used all the softwares starting from WebEx, because I was in corporate for 35 years. I have used many softwares, particularly to do remote presentations, remote product demos, remote trainings, basically from 2002 onwards. So here also, if I see that Google Classroom, I found it very convenient to conduct my classes, of course, with assignments and everything. I have also used WebEx. WebEx is particularly a good software, particularly when you want to do webinars or presentations. Now the difference which I saw out here, which Microsoft has added to this, I'm surprised how they did that, is in Google Classroom, you can access the documents from Google Drive. And in Microsoft, you can also access the document from OneDrive. In addition to that, you can actually add Dropbox, you can add even Google Drive to Microsoft Teams. That's a pretty interesting feature, ladies and gentlemen. You can also add Google Drive to your Microsoft Team, which is on the left-hand side, the three dots which I showed you here. This is where actually you can add your Google Drive. But you can't add OneDrive in Google Classroom. You can't assign OneDrive to Google Classroom. So in Google Classroom, you can only pick up documents from Google Drive, whereas in Team, if you have a lot of documents stored in Google Drive, you can actually assign Google Drive in Microsoft Team. That is quite interesting. SharePoint is another software, another elephant in Microsoft product features. So Team uses to store all the documents in the SharePoint portal. Like you have OneDrive installed in your local system, so you can synchronize all the documents from your local system to OneDrive. Similarly, you can download Open SharePoint in your local drive, and also copy paste all your documents in your SharePoint, and all the documents can be automatically uploaded out here. Well, these are few technical features. Let's say, for example, if I want to upload 16, 15 to 20 PowerPoints, so I don't want to keep on clicking upload, upload, upload. I would prefer to go to open SharePoint, paste all the documents there, and automatically gets refreshed. So that's a little technical feature. So that's what the files reflect out here. Now, class notebook and assignments, I will take you through from my another sessions, which I already have created out here. Now, what is class notebook? Now, class notebook is basically an area where you can actually create different diaries, different notebooks. So when you click on class notebook for the first time, the system is taking some time to set up the class notebook. What has Microsoft Team has done is basically they have integrated all the standalone software features into one. They have integrated the Outlook features out here with their calendars and everything. They have integrated Skype for your meetings and chats. They have integrated one notebook within the class notebook. So that's quite interesting. So when I say click on set up one notebook, this is the first time you will do. So you click on blank notebook. So what is the three classic features in one notebook? The first thing is the collaboration space, which allows you to collaborate with the students, which means that all the documents you post in collaboration space, the students can also edit those documents along with the teachers. But let's say you want to post a case study, which you want the students to read it before coming to the class. Then you post that case study in the content library, which means that documents which have been posted in content library, students can only view it but cannot edit it. And there is something called a student notebook. You will see it now happening. So when I click on next, it will create the content space, content library, and student notebook when you create the notebook first. The next step is basically what and all the types of diaries you want. This is basically class notebook is like that diary which has multiple sections, or an organizer which has multiple sections. So you can call these as sections. So from a faculty perspective, the way I have used this, I have not created so many sections. I have just created two sections. One is called as handouts and second one is called as class notes. That's it. So which means that every student by name will have these two folders or diary sections. So when I create class notebook, it takes some time for the class notebook to get ready. So as the class notebook is getting ready, what is the important feature of class notebook? Let's say your session is going to start on 25th of June, and every week you have a class. And let's say you have 10 sessions, 2 hours each, or maybe 15 sessions, 2 hours each. And you also have a class plan with you that every session I want to cover this subject. And when I cover this subject, I want to show this particular PPT. I want to share this particular document. So what you can do is that you can store all those 30 sessions document within your class notebook. Now that is a very interesting feature which I have seen here. Now the class notebook is created. Look at this interesting part. The first thing it creates is a small binder called as collaboration space. So in collaboration space, I can post any document where I click on page. I create my new page. I can give a title to this, which is saying that discuss about the corona impact on economy. What happens is, since it is a collaboration space, both the students and the teachers can edit this document and keep talking on this document. But in the content library, so if I paste a document or copy a document and paste it out here, in content library, only the teachers can edit and students can only view. But if you see here, it has created a separate binder for a particular student called as Cisco MPS Temi. Now this guy is a student, and these are the two students whom I have created as members. Now these two students have specific folders. So which means that I can actually monitor each and every student's diary from class notebook. A pretty interesting feature which I like. Another feature which I like out here is basically the there are two particular features. One is the dictate feature. So let's say I want to create a handout, and in handout section, I want to click on dictate. So when I click on dictate, it helps me to straight away dictate what I want to type. So the dictate is a pretty good feature which I've seen. I've liked the dictate feature. So when I click on dictate, it helps me to dictate the notes which I want to send. Pretty nice feature. And also you have a similar feature out here which is called as immersive reader. I'll also take you through that. Pretty interesting, right? All right, so that's the dictate feature. Now once this page has been created and you want to circulate this page to all the students, you click on class notebook. Remember that you should not get confused with this particular tab out here. There is this tab on the upper section which is the hard-coded tab. So we will not be using this tab, not required. We use the tab below that. So when I click on class notebook, I have the permission to distribute this page. I can also distribute the page to the individual students or a group of students. You can create a group of students out here. Or I can distribute this page to all the students. Now when I click on distribute page, it opens up the distribute page. Select the student where you want to distribute. So if I say distributed in class notes, so this page will get distributed to all the students in the class note section. Pretty interesting feature of class notebook. Once you practice this, once you get used to this, believe me, you will not come out of it. The second thing is particularly in the class notebook feature is there is something called as managed notebook out here. So you see that there is a feature here called as managed notebook. Pretty interesting feature out here. So when I click on managed notebook, I can add more sections if I want to from here. But the same sections, if you remember, I did at the start. But then I have deleted a lot of sections. But now if I want to create more sections, I can create. Now, this is where you can lock and unlock the collaboration space. As I said, that collaboration space is basically the area where the students can also edit the document. But you don't want to do that, so you can actually lock the collaboration space coming from the managed notebook section. Now, second important point out here is there's something called as add teachers section group. Once you click on this, this will add a teachers section. So I'm clicking on this. So the teachers section part is enabled. But the interesting part is once you have enabled this, you cannot disable. I don't see any reason why I want to disable. But once you've enabled teachers section group, you cannot disable this. Having said that, that's fine. But what is the teachers section group all about? So here, if you see, it creates a teachers only section. So when I click on the teachers only section, this particular point out here, very interesting part, this teachers only section is a place where I can store all the documents for my particular class. Let's say September 25th, my class is starting. I've created my class. I've added all my students. I've created channels if I want. I've done all my setups before 25th. And also I know that I have 10-15 slides which I want to show in this particular class, which means that, see, this housekeeping is very good. Why? Because every time when the class starts, I don't have to go back to my computer, find out which slide I want to talk today, take that slide in a pen drive and go about, or maybe take that slide and be prepared. But this is the one setup activity which really helps, and I've used this, and I found it very useful. 25th, my class starts. Before 25th, I come to the teachers section part out here, and here I post and add all my PPTs which I want to showcase. Having said that, the teachers section is only for the teacher. No students, no guests, no one can access this. So once I have created a repository of all my documents in teachers section, from this section, I can start distributing the documents as I said, from my class notebook distribute page as soon as each and every week class gets over. Pretty good feature. I would say you should use this because it removes the headache of searching for case studies, PPTs, document every time when I want to start my class. Very interesting feature. All right, so that finishes my class notebook. Assignments, interesting part. Now, if you have used Google Classroom, the same feature is for Microsoft Team as well. You can create assignments. Assignments are both subjective types, case studies, questions, exactly the same way the Google Classroom works, and also the quiz. So when I click on assignments, the first setup page appears for assignments. It has been structured very well, the way it has been structured in Google Classroom, but a little bit of nomenclature which is a bit confusing. So let's say I want to create a subjective type M1 test. And after this, I give my instructions, which is, let's say, all questions are compulsory. Now, here it says something called as add resource. Now, resource could be reading materials, resource could be case study materials, or resource could be the subjective type question itself. How will I do that? So resources, you can attach any of the PPTs. If you want the student to go through the PPT first and then answer the questions, you can add that. Or I straight away create a subjective type question paper out here, and I call this as M1 June Marketing Management. And I click on attach. Of course, you can upload a document which is already available. Now, once I have created this document, remember it has just created a document. I have not created the question paper as yet. Now I click on this document. It opens up the document. There are 3 to 4 clicks which I'm doing out here. If you see that it has created this document, but then I have not created a question paper. So A is that I click on edit document, which is I say that edit in desktop app or edit in browser. I click on edit in browser. Now when I click on edit in browser, what you see here is basically that you can copy the question paper which you already have in your document and you can paste it out here, or you can create a question. Basically, what are the 4 P's in marketing? And once I save this document, then this document becomes visible for all the students, and they can edit this document from the browser itself, and they can do that. So that is the assignment part. Now I'm not going to cover all the features right now. I'm going to leave the session open for question answers. I'll come back to my team meetings. Let me click on here. Okay, the first thing which I will do is I'll stop this recording right now because we have started assignment sessions. Yes, I'm stopping this recording.